New York City, the Millennium Hilton, downtown Manhattan. Thursday evening, October 2006. Mike Tyson is 40 years old, retired from professional boxing for 10 months after the Kevin McBride loss that ended his career with a whimper instead of the bang everyone expected. He's in town for meetings with his management team, discussions about documentary opportunities, potential appearances, ways to rebuild his brand and his finances after boxing took everything from him and gave back only trauma and empty bank accounts. The hotel is upscale, corporate, the kind of place where business travelers stay, where convention attendees fill the lobby bar, where everything is professional and anonymous and forgettable. Tyson is staying on the 18th floor, registered under an alias to avoid attention, just trying to move through the world without the constant weight of being Mike Tyson, without every interaction becoming a confrontation or a photo opportunity or a reminder of what he was versus what he's become. It's 8:30 in the evening. Tyson has just finished dinner alone in his room service, ate in front of the television, watching nothing in particular, just passing time until tomorrow's meetings. He decides to go down to the lobby, maybe walk around the neighborhood, clear his head, get some air. He's wearing dark jeans, a black hoodie, white sneakers, the hood up. Not because he's trying to hide exactly, but because he's tired of being recognized, tired of the stares and whispers and the inevitable approach from someone who wants something, a photo, an autograph, a story to tell their friends. He exits his room, walks down the carpeted hallway to the elevators. The hotel is quiet, typical Thursday evening lull, most guests either out for dinner or settled in for the night. Tyson presses the down button, waits. The elevator arrives quickly, doors sliding open with a soft chime. Empty. He steps inside, presses the lobby button, leans against the back wall. The doors start to close. Then a hand shoots through the gap, triggering the sensor. The doors retract open fully. A man steps in, late 30s, wearing an expensive suit, charcoal grey with a light blue shirt, no tie, top button undone, the look of someone who makes good money and knows it. He's 6 feet tall, maybe 180, fit but not athletic. The kind of fitness that comes from 3 days a week at an upscale gym with a personal trainer, not from years of actual combat or manual labor. His hair is styled with product, his shoes are Italian leather, his watch is a Rolex, probably genuine. He carries himself with confidence that borders on arrogance, the walk of someone who's succeeded in business, and assumes that success translates to every aspect of life, including confrontation. The man glances at Tyson, does a slight double take, recognition flickering across his face. Tyson sees it happen. That moment when someone realizes who he is, when the mental database clicks and connects the face to the name to the history. Tyson doesn't acknowledge it, just looks forward, waiting for the doors to close, willing this interaction to be nothing. The man presses the button for the lobby, even though it's already lit. A power move, establishing his presence, making sure Tyson knows he's there. The doors close. The elevator begins its descent. For 5 seconds, silence. Just the mechanical hum of the elevator, the barely perceptible sensation of downward movement. Then the man speaks. Mike Tyson, right? His tone is casual, but there's something underneath it, something challenging, testing. Tyson doesn't turn his head, just says quietly, "Yeah." The man nods slowly, a smirk forming on his face. Says, "Huh. Smaller than I thought you'd be." Tyson has heard this 1,000 times, from fighters, from fans, from critics. It's the default observation, the entry point for people who want to diminish him, who need to take the legend down a notch to feel better about themselves. He's 5'10" in a division historically dominated by men 6 feet and taller. His size was always part of the narrative, the obstacle he overcame through speed and power and ferocity. He doesn't respond, just keeps looking forward, watching the floor numbers descend on the digital display. 17, 16, 15, the man continues, emboldened by Tyson's silence. "I watched you fight back in the day. You were good, real good, but honestly, I never understood the hype. You beat up a bunch of tomato cans and then lost every time you fought someone real. Buster Douglas, Evander Holyfield twice, Lennox Lewis, every big fight, you lost." Tyson's jaw tightens slightly, his hands hanging at his sides, curl into loose fists, then relax. He's heard this criticism too, the revisionist history that discounts his achievements, that focuses only on the losses at the end when he was broken and damaged and fighting demons bigger than any opponent. 14, 13, 12. The man keeps going, his voice gaining confidence like he's testing how far he can push, how much he can say before getting a reaction. And the whole tough guy persona, the face tattoo, the intimidation factor. That stuff doesn't work on everyone. Some of us aren't impressed by the act. Tyson finally turns his head, looks directly at the man. His expression is neutral, but his eyes, those flat, empty eyes that have stared down champions and killers, those eyes that contain decades of violence and pain and rage barely controlled, those eyes lock onto the man's face. The man holds the eye contact for a moment, trying to project confidence, trying to show he's not intimidated. But something shifts in his face, a micro-expression of uncertainty, of primal recognition that he might be making a mistake. Still, he pushes forward, says with a smirk, "I'm just saying you don't scare me, you're just a guy, a retired boxer with a lot of problems. I've dealt with tough guys my whole life. Grew up in Boston, Irish neighborhood, everyone fought. You're not special." 11, 10, 9. Tyson doesn't respond verbally, just continues staring, his face expressionless, his body completely still, except for the slow, controlled breathing. In that silence, in that stare, there's more threat than any words could convey. The man's smirk wavers. He breaks eye contact first, looks away, pretends to check his phone, tries to act casual, but his body language has changed, his shoulders slightly hunched, his stance less confident, his lizard brain finally sending signals that his rational brain is trying to ignore. 8, 7, 6. Tyson speaks, his voice quiet, almost gentle, the high-pitched voice that sounds wrong, coming from someone so dangerous. "You think I'm trying to scare you?" The man looks up from his phone, forced to engage now, caught in the interaction he started, says, trying to maintain his bravado, "I think you're used to people being afraid of you. I'm not one of those people." Tyson nods slowly, says, "Okay." Just that one word. Okay. But the way he says it, flat, emotionless, accepting, makes it sound like a door closing, like a decision being made, like the last warning before something irreversible happens. 5, 4, 3. The man realizes he's made a mistake. The elevator suddenly feels smaller, the space between him and Tyson insufficient. The 18 floors he thought would pass quickly now seeming endless. He shifts his weight, positions himself slightly closer to the door, ready to exit as soon as they reach the lobby, ready to end this interaction and pretend it never happened. Tyson takes one step forward. Not aggressive, not rushed, just one step that closes the distance from 5 feet to 3 feet, that moves him from the back wall into the man's personal space, that transforms the elevator from a shared space to a cage. The man's eyes widen. He backs against the elevator wall, his false confidence evaporating completely, his body's survival instincts overriding his ego's need to seem tough. 2, 1. Tyson doesn't touch him, doesn't raise his voice, just stands there close enough that the man can see every detail of his face, the scar tissue around his eyes, the lines etched by decades of violence and prison and loss, the face of someone who's been to hell multiple times and found comfort there. Tyson says quietly, "You said I don't scare you, that's good. Fear is healthy, keeps you alive, makes you careful. But you know what's worse than fear." The man doesn't respond, can't respond, his throat constricted, his breathing shallow. Tyson continues, "Disrespect. Fear means you understand danger. Disrespect means you think you're safe. You're not safe. You're in an elevator with someone who spent 30 years learning how to hurt people. Someone who's hurt people you've heard of, champions, killers, tough guys from every city and country. Someone who went to prison and survived. Someone who lost everything and kept breathing. You think growing up in Boston makes you tough? You think dealing with tough guys in business meetings means you understand violence?" The lobby button lights up. The elevator slows, preparing to stop. Tyson says, his voice still quiet, still controlled, I'm not trying to scare you. I don't need to try. You're already scared. I can see it, smell it. You started this conversation trying to make yourself feel big by making me feel small. But now you understand. You're trapped in this box with me, and the only reason you're not hurt is because I choose not to hurt you. Not because you're tough, not because you grew up in Boston, not because you're not impressed, because I choose mercy. Remember that. The elevator reaches the lobby. The doors open. Light and sound flood in from the busy hotel lobby. People walking past, conversation and laughter. Normal life happening just beyond the elevator doors. The man doesn't move for a second, frozen. His brain trying to process what just happened, trying to reconcile his bravado from 90 seconds ago with the terror he feels right now. Tyson steps back, returns to the rear wall of the elevator, creates space. Says, "You can leave now." The man exits quickly, not running but moving with purpose, putting distance between himself and Tyson, merging into the lobby crowd without looking back. His hands are shaking. His shirt is damp with sweat despite the air conditioning. His heart is pounding so hard, he can hear it in his ears. He experienced something in that elevator, something he's never experienced before. Not fear exactly. Understanding. Understanding that all his success, all his money, all his confidence means nothing when trapped in a small space, with someone who operates by different rules, someone for whom violence isn't theoretical or metaphorical, but practical and immediate and always available. Tyson remains in the elevator as the doors close again. He presses 18, returning to his floor, his brief desire for a walk forgotten. He leans against the back wall, closes his eyes, breathes deeply. He didn't want that interaction, didn't enjoy it, didn't feel powerful or vindicated or satisfied, just felt tired. Tired of proving himself, tired of being challenged, tired of people who think they understand toughness because they've succeeded in safe environments, because they've never actually faced real violence, real consequences, real danger. The elevator rises. Tyson thinks about the man's words. "You don't scare me." How many times has he heard variations of that? From opponents before fights, from critics in the media, from people in bars and restaurants and airports who needed to test him, to prove something to themselves or their friends. And how many times has he had to show them, had to demonstrate that the legend is real, that the danger is genuine, that Mike Tyson, even retired, even damaged, even trying to be better, is still capable of everything he was always capable of. He reaches his floor, exits the elevator, walks back to his room. Inside, he sits on the bed, turns on the television again, tries to forget the last 5 minutes. But he can't. Because it's not just about that one man in that one elevator. It's about a lifetime of people challenging him, testing him, trying to diminish him, needing him to be less than what he is so they can feel better about what they're not. In the lobby, the man has found the hotel bar. He orders a whiskey, drinks it quickly, orders another. His colleague, another businessman staying at the hotel for the same convention, joins him, asks why he looks shaken. The man doesn't want to talk about it at first, embarrassed by how scared he was, by how completely his confidence collapsed. But the second whiskey loosens his tongue. He tells the story, says he ran into Mike Tyson in the elevator, tried to act tough, said Tyson didn't scare him. His colleague's eyes widen, says, "Are you insane? Why would you do that?" The man says, "I don't know, I wanted to prove something. Prove I wasn't just another fanboy, another person intimidated by the legend. I wanted to show him that his reputation didn't work on everyone." His colleague asks what happened. The man takes another drink, says, "He didn't hit me, didn't threaten me exactly. Just stood there, got close, talked quietly." But in that moment, in that elevator when the doors were closed and it was just him and me, I understood something. I understood that everything I thought made me tough, my success, my confidence, my upbringing, none of it meant anything. He could have broken me in half, and the only thing stopping him was his choice, not my ability to defend myself or talk my way out or anything else, just his choice to let me walk away. He says, "I've never felt that before. Complete helplessness, complete understanding that someone else controlled whether I got hurt or not, and there was nothing I could do about it. It lasted maybe 90 seconds, but it felt like an hour. When those doors opened and I got out, I've never been more grateful to escape something in my life. His colleague says, "What did you learn?" The man thinks for a moment, finishes his whiskey, says, "I learned that there are different kinds of tough. There's business tough, negotiation tough, dealing with difficult people in safe environments tough. And then there's real tough, violence tough, prison tough, Mike Tyson tough, and the two aren't even in the same universe. I thought because I was successful, because I'd overcome obstacles in my career, because I wasn't easily intimidated in boardrooms, that translated to being tough in every situation. It doesn't. Not even close." He says, "Mike Tyson at 40, retired, probably hasn't thrown a real punch in months, is more dangerous than anyone I've ever encountered in my entire life. And the scariest part wasn't that he could hurt me. It was how calm he was about it, how completely in control, how he didn't need to yell or threaten or posture. He just existed in that space, and his existence was enough to make me understand my place in the hierarchy. I'm not tough. I'm a businessman who occasionally deals with difficult situations. He's a predator who's been hunting and being hunted his entire life. There's no comparison." The story spreads through their business conference the next day, whispered in sessions, shared over meals, embellished slightly in each retelling but maintaining the core truth. The man who challenged Mike Tyson in an elevator and learned a lesson about real toughness versus perceived toughness. Some of his colleagues mock him for backing down, for being scared. Others, the ones with more sense, say he's lucky Tyson showed restraint, that the encounter could have ended very differently. Tyson never mentions the incident to anyone. It's not significant to him, just another moment in a lifetime of moments where people tested him and learned. He's been dealing with this since he was 15 years old, since Cus D'Amato first started training him, since he first stepped into a ring and people saw his size and doubted him, and he had to prove, over and over, that size doesn't determine danger. Years later, the man tells the story at a dinner party. He's older now, more successful, more secure in his accomplishments. Someone asks if he's ever met anyone famous. He says yes, Mike Tyson, in an elevator in New York. They ask what he was like. The man says terrifying, not because he did anything, because he didn't have to do anything. His presence was enough. I tried to act tough, told him he didn't scare me, and in 90 seconds he taught me more about myself than a decade of therapy could have. Taught me that I'm not as tough as I thought. Taught me that real danger looks different than I imagined. Taught me to be grateful I live in a world where consequences are usually professional and financial, not physical and immediate." He says, "The doors closed and I was trapped with someone who operates by different rules, someone for whom violence is a language he speaks fluently and I don't speak at all. When the doors opened and I walked away unharmed, I understood that was a gift. Tyson gave me a lesson instead of a beating. Some people don't get that choice. I'm grateful I did." The elevator encounter lasted 90 seconds from doors closing to doors opening. 90 seconds that taught a lesson about respect, about danger, about the difference between confidence and capability, about what real toughness looks like versus what we pretend it looks like in our safe, civilized lives. Mike Tyson entered an elevator. Someone smirked and said, "You don't scare me." The doors closed, and in that enclosed space with no escape, no witnesses, no safety net, the man learned what everyone who ever fought Mike Tyson professionally already knew. Fear is appropriate. Respect is mandatory. And legends are legends because they earned it through deeds that most people can't imagine and wouldn't survive. The doors eventually opened. The man walked away intact but changed. That's the best possible outcome when you challenge Mike Tyson. Learn the lesson, pay the price in pride instead of blood, and carry the knowledge forward. Most people never get that chance. He did. He took it. And he never forgot those 90 seconds in an elevator with a legend who didn't need to prove anything, but proved everything anyway. Just by being present. Just by existing. Just by closing the distance and asking one quiet question. You think growing up in Boston makes you tough? The answer was no. It never was. It never could be.